LinkedIn friends. It is time for another edition of Singularity Soothsayers uh, with Nico Lafakis. How you doing, man?
Doing great, sir. Just having a ball today. Just having an absolute ball.
Yeah, I've been. You've been talking this up for about 8 hours at this point, so I'm just gonna let it flow over me. So, like this greatness you speak of, I'm ready for it.
Um, so I bit the bullet finally, and because I do have use case for it coming up soon, I decided to subscribe for Pro. And for those of you that don't know the difference, well, for one thing, we're talking about ChatGPT. For another, most people have Plus subscriptions, $20 a month. Uh, Pro has three features. Uh, has O1 Pro, which is the highest level model. It's even higher than O3 High, and also has Deep Research, which is hands down the most ridiculous thing ever. Um, it's like that. It has to be very very speechless, and then there's Operator, and where I thought I will roll back the statement that I made previously, the tiniest bit, only because it can go to other websites. It is still, in my opinion, very infantile, obviously, and still, it's it's extremely slow. But I'm working with it. I'm going to continue to work with it. I'm going to show you guys why I'm going to be doing this. Um, and in showing you that, it's going to do something to you. Um, the thing I've been looking to do to all of you guys for a long time now. And hopefully, I mean, we've been trying to wake you up. This will absolutely wake you up. Absolutely. I've been telling Chris about this pretty much since I saw it. So, without further ado, what I did is I had run some stuff on deep research, not a ton straight out the gate, but was just doing a competitor analysis for a few different business types. Realistically, all I did was, hey, go take a look at who the top five HubSpot partners are said to be in the ecosystem. I mean, so this is my way of doing things. I asked one model to go find the top five. I then took another model that found the top five information and asked it uh, to write a prompt on how to do a competitor analysis for those top fives, and then I gave the prompt to Deep Research basically and asked it uh, to go and take a look. So basically, gave it the prompt, and then even with it was quite a bit, um, but even with that, it needed a little bit of additional detail. Not much, realistically, because again, the answer is super short. And so it went and did its thing. Took only 8 minutes. The activity that it was doing was it's unbelievable. Honestly, like even just reading through the activity is like really really. This reminds me of like a year and a half ago. I showed you all what God mode looks like, and Auto GPT, and that's very much what this was like watching. It was like watching it, except like a PhD level version of it. So it was not guessing at websites to go visit and guessing at content to go look at. It was just like spot on, like doing searches and pulling content, right? And so you end up with just this massive, like literal research paper of what you were looking for. And in terms of like the level of accuracy, it's like everything is pulled from some resource found somewhere. It's all like individual links found on the site or found online from where it pulls the information, right? just in terms of like, in terms of being able to do competitor research, right? Being able to do go to market research, being able to do product launch research. I mean, honestly, like you name it, like there are things that I haven't even like even thought of necessarily. It's just that I haven't like formulated them into a prompt, to be honest, that could be applied to marketing that that's going to decimate stuff. Like this is really, I'm not even joking. Like this is going to decimate a lot of what we had previously known about like how tactics are, how you leverage them, like everything. It's beyond. This is beyond a lot of stuff that I've seen. And so that was one thing. But the other thing that I thought was very very cool.
Before, hang on.
Sorry.
Uh, do we know where like protected content uh, sits like in relationship to this? I'm talking about like, um, let's say there's a standardized method book of standards that normally you'd have to pay $75 for to get the whole copy of the standard, and you just see an abstract. Is it accessing any of that?
I don't think so. I think it's
Okay.
only going to anything that it can actually source and actually get information from. That's kind of what you can see when you look at the research aspect of it. This was so hilarious up here. It's like, all right, I'm thinking Stephen Lackey's gonna post to maximize the ROI. It's like, got it, cool. So like it's you can see that it's actually reading through it, right? Thinking the 422 error linking to internal crawling restrictions or to the site itself. Trying the main articles. All right, considering a Bing search and text extraction instead, right? So like it's trying, like you say, it's trying to use the maximum resources, right? Which would be paid resources. So is this as effective as like a paid research study, right? Because that's kind of what that points towards. No, obviously, because it's free data
Well, I
versus
think
paid
it,
data, right?
right. I mean, that's
I
where
mean,
it
depending on
depends
how like
on the
much
use
you pushed it.
case and the frame and like,
Yeah,
because there's a
yeah.
lot of things that people make you pay for that maybe you didn't have
That
to,
is just a collection of things. Yeah,
right? It's just they've gathered libraries that are still free. It's just they've
like
done it in a
market
way.
research studies,
Yeah,
right? Like that in and of itself is this,
yeah. Like
right?
all the
If I ask
publicly
this to go do a
available.
market research study, which let's go ahead and
Yeah.
razzle
But
dazzle.
what just came to mind as you're showing that sidebar, it's like the whole concept of trying to figure out how AI is going to handle like web crawling and SEO, and like it's right there.
Yep.
Like you're seeing how it's doing it,
Yeah, it doesn't give a shit.
right?
Now, look, what I want you guys to understand is when me and Chris were talking about like software goes away and you become an agent, this is what it looks like. This is exactly what it looks like. Your agent is here. You are on. I'm not even joking. I was on my phone doing something else. I am watching TV. I'm not shopping. I'm not going to the websites. If I'm telling it, hey, I got time to go to Hawaii next week. Let's book it for Wednesday. Got to be back on Monday though. And it goes and does all the travel arrangements and books my hotel, books my car, gets my tickets, reserves my seats, all that stuff. I'm not seeing all those bullshit ads,
Right.
right? It won't matter where you track me necessarily online. In fact, my tracking habits might look seriously weird because like when I'm using the internet, I'll only be looking at entertainment because my agent handles all of the busy work, all of the shopping, and all of the I got to enter data into stuff and minutia. Like, yeah, I don't want to do any of that. I just want to click stuff and have fun, right?
But yeah, and this example, like right in the middle of the screen, search for maximizing your ROI with the HubSpot Sales Hub, October 11th, 2024. Like, man, the clickbait stuff, like, get out of here. Like, just black and white, ones and zeros. That's what it's going to be searching for.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, man, it's going to get so hard and it's going to be glorious. Like, I mean, yeah, just the whole way that people have been doing things from a content marketing perspective, like getting people to click, like, and you're trying to serve something with no emotion. Um,
Yep.
it's got a different agenda.
And this is where the content comes into play too, right? Like if there's really nothing that's worth a shit, then it's just gonna go on and move to the next thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you guys, it's not like what Chris is saying is BS. Like you're literally looking at it, right? That's what's so hilarious to me is like where there's content, GBT took some time and looked at it. Where there isn't content, it's like, well, we'll consider some other shit and we'll go somewhere else, right? So I mean, like that in and of itself was one aspect of it. The other was just in looking at this, I was like, okay, well, like how to your point, like how effective is that, or like how much is it getting affected? I think, well, let's just have the model actually do it. Let me see. I already know what the answer is, but might as well let a PhD pull it together and see what's up. So, so I was messing with deep research, obviously, and it's like the growth planning, strategy planning, like all the kind of thing that you can think of that you would normally want to take your business and balance it against another business. Take what you do, balance it against somebody else, right? That's this is where like all of that stuff is just going to
Yeah.
you know not necessarily rising, it may even be lower. So basically, because what you're going to end up seeing is just this. Like if I do a search on here for, I don't know if it'll actually, maybe it'll pull it up.
Yeah. There's a post from Rand Fishkin earlier. Um, that was about how websites are going to go back to actually being like informative about products and services that you offer,
Oh wow,
instead of like articles about random stuff to get you to like, because they know you're searching for it and they just create content at all cost mode. Like, definitely that window's closed,
that's
basically.
a that's the thing is like especially when it comes to creating like meaningful content, you can have something like this going out and doing that for you, right? So like even here, it's like whoever thought there's how many third parties out there like have this guide, have a video, have whatever it is.
Still aren't doing it right.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but it's like, it's just to realize that like it's a matter of meaning. What does your content mean? How much does your website deal with what the query was related to, right? Nobody's website is going to deal with this question more than HubSpot's, right? So then if I started asking for so if I ask for alternative sources, let's see what it's going to come up with. But that's where maybe obviously other partner sites might come in. Almost, goes third and like multiple resources to YouTube. Zapier, and then QuickBooks itself, right? So interesting to see. Like, so that's what's interesting is the fact that these two came up above the additional three is like, okay, take a look at what you're doing there, and if you are a competitor to these two people, take a look at what they are doing, because clearly their content is meaningful enough to have escaped the one of the top. I mean, you getting picked above YouTube University is very, very massive, right? Like, let's face it, that's really massive. That literally tells me, like, honestly, even me seeing this, it's 1, 2, 3, right? So it tells me that I would get best match here, second best match here, and then like keep going. Outside of if I'm a visual learner and I just skip to do the video, right? Like, that's really the only reason that I'm not going through this, right?
So let's instead of, because I'm super lazy, instead of reading through the guide, I just want to ask GPT why it ranked at number one.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Watch it say, I didn't put them in any particular order.
I love like this clarifying users, like the fact it says it's unclear at some point. Yeah, the user's question is unclear. They might be asking about this. In your first one that you showed, there was a moment where it was like, the user's query is a bit ambiguous. Just watching it do things like that. Very powerful.
It's funny because I'm glad you mentioned that, and it's so hilarious. I was just telling Laura about it too, and talking to colleagues earlier about the peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and like how important that video is because it like teaches you how to properly like give context, so that you don't get the response that you were just talking about, right? So like,
Right.
look, I mean, literal difference between the two, where it went from saying like I don't understand what the hell he's thinking of to, oh yeah, I got it, right?
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing, like, we talk about all the focus on tools inside of platforms like HubSpot, where it's like prospecting bot, like for example, just help me do the thing. Like, I envision, like, certainly if you want it to as a manager or an admin, but maybe even like the AI that's actually helpful and gets the job done, like it's gonna stop and be like, get that email out of here. Like, what?
Right.
You emailed that guy 10 times last week. He hasn't.
That's the way it should be.
Like, no, I'm not sending that dude an email. Like,
Like, send it anyway. I'm sorry. I lost it.
yeah,
I seem to have lost that email.
yeah. Oh, that's a different world. Like, okay, yeah, I'll send it. I'm just like, yeah.
Get right on it,
Oh,
man.
it's in the outbox. Oh man.
So this is very sick, right? Because of the, like, I mean, you can go through the thinking process of it, or you can read the output of it. But basically, it's saying like, hey, look, when I'm actually putting the list together in the first place, I'm doing it based on highest relevance to the integration process, which is what was searched for, which I thought would be helpful due to the specifics of its explanations. So, relevancy, details of the explanation, right? Secondly, ranked it because it was detailed, step by step, has positive feedback about its clarity, right? So it's, and could add that based on factors like user reviews, resourcefulness, and thoroughness. Same thing. Web Canopy follows up with good blend of information, though it covers a different perspective. So it may not be as relevant, right?
Can
So
you can you ask to show the positive feedback about its clarity?
considering
This
it
is what I'm
got
talking
the.
about, man. Like when we talked about the ads
Mm-hmm.
and like why they won't be needed, like in Claude's answer for why they won't be needed, it's like this is a perfect example where it's not just about the guide itself.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. Uh,
In various LinkedIn and community forum posts.
yes, like that's it. It's seeing everything
Community. Yep.
everywhere. So
Yep.
any good feedback anywhere is like, guys, that's why it's number one. Yes, it's probably a great guide, like,
Yeah.
but that's why it's got the feedback, right?
Right.
So
That's
like
where it's getting it from. It's getting it
when
from not just G2 and not just this place and not just that place, right?
right, like please do not take this as an anomaly or lucky or anything like that. Like this is why you will not be able to shortcut with an ad. Like the whole point of ads is because you didn't do the work to get the feedback. There's no user reviews. We need people to click on the thing. So I'm just going to put it out there. When AI sees that it doesn't have reviews and feedback and from anywhere on the planet, it's going to count that against you and not rank it. Like that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Totally not about content only at this point. Like, is it being consumed by who? What did they think about it?
Okay.
And like the fact that you can see the thought process, like even if you
Right.
weren't thinking about this is what I mean. Like, if you go and read the guide, you might miss that part. Like the fact that there's people out there that think the guide is great. That's where it's like, just take a minute and ask the AI, like about, especially at this level. Like, I get it. Like, there's lots of other models that can be hit or miss, but now we're getting to the point where it's like, we're so close. Like, you don't have, like, how do you even have the nerve to question this thing? So is this um is this adding to its, is it learning off of this chat at all?
Um, I don't. I gotta tell you, at this point, I really do have to like go and take a look because I don't know how much is tied into what. Like from my normal use on Plus, I haven't noticed that like O3 and O3 High don't seem to be able to. They can use your custom instructions. They can use like that aspect of it. It seems like they can leverage memory, but they can't write to it. So it seems like the most usability is still on 4.0, which sucks really bad. I don't know if that changes with Pro and there's like more usability between them. But I do know that at least like if you're doing conversations and you have them all tied together, you can at least create a project and you can embed the conversations into a singular project.
What about in like the greater training data? Like, will this chat you're having like impact anybody else's chats?
No, no,
Okay.
no. Yeah, that's never the case. I don't think. Well, I can't say that's never the case. Actually, yeah, if it's an open public chat, yeah, it's supposed to, unless you have your option turned off. So, where is it? Personalization or is it security? Data control.
Because I've got a strategy in mind.
If you have improved model for everybody turned on, allow your
Oh,
content to be used to train your models.
improve.
Yeah.
Do you remember when I remember when I first started using HubSpot in 2017.
Mm.
Like it was always interesting to me that whenever I was on a call with the HubSpot employee, it was like ingrained that to get to the content they wanted to share or to answer the question, like they would never go right to the knowledge base or the blog or eh, or the academy. They would Google it,
Mm.
every single one. And like with a company, if you get a few hundred employees doing that every day, like I have to imagine
You're skewing
that
Google
that
search
was
metrics.
intentional. And that was a part of the strategy. I mean, based on how the algorithm worked, it should work like
Right.
that. Um, so uh, there's still a path towards like getting your message, um, like kind of building your message if it's nuanced enough, is it, if it's positioned well,
Mm.
like if there's novelty to it. That's where like if you're just doing chats every day, um, and like with specific word choices together, and then you can teach the market about that phrase, like there might be some opportunity there. um
A little bit. So even in this case, right? The summary, and this is just on a mess or whatever horse around. Both guys are frequently mentioned in the industry, um, but it's looking at content depth and recency, actionability and tactical focus, industry reputation and user feedback. So not only does it have to be relevant and like recency actually matters, obviously it matters absolutely to me unless I'm specifically looking for some old shit. Actionability and tactical focus, literally the the over 50% of the prompts that I use when I'm trying to get like end result stuff mention either actionable insights or leverageable content, right? Like those are really like the words that it uses in order to get the same quality, right? So the industry reputation and user feedback. Again, the user feedback. I want to actually ask. Okay, so industry reputation, right? So like it's obviously really important, and industry reputation can be garnered in a number of different ways, right? So that we're not only published but by reputable agencies that also receive positive mentions, whether via formal reviews or community discussions, right? So you know, being a great partner and getting all those 5 stars, that could be one thing. But if all you have is those and nobody talks about you otherwise except for yourself, okay, right? That's why most orgs, like, they kind of have this, they have almost like an internal policy now that, like, if they make a social post, that you need to go and share it, right? In order to, like, create false organic spread of the org that, like, there's a lot of engagement. That's, in an attempt to try to influence that kind of pull. Does that work as well as organic influence? Not on LinkedIn that I know of.
yeah, I mean, and that's where like people are starting to talk about, I mean, even Dharmesh, uh we're starting to see older posts, in our feeds, like 2 or 3 weeks old. I know in my my notifications, I'm seeing much more engagement with these older posts, which is good for me because like the video content that like the live LinkedIn's um, are definitely here today, gone tomorrow. They have been a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but if they stick around just a little bit, they you know um, can add a lot of value. But seeing people post about that, like it's just like there's so much flux right now. Like anybody who thinks they know how the social algorithms are working and what they're doing in response to this thing, because they know this is happening. They want LinkedIn to show up in this answer, right? Like, or shared on platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. It says that because that's where it found the reviews and the opinions. And
Mm-hmm.
they only get that if people are engaging on LinkedIn to find that stuff. And all these companies are adjusting to AI at the same time. Like, so if you think you like time of day, just share, just start sharing the value. Like, stop overthinking it. Um, because the value, the relevancy, all those keywords that were just mentioned, like the relevancy, the recency, do people like it? Does it matter? Like, that's what AI is looking for. Like, there's no like black box anymore. Like, if,
Just ask it.
or there won't be very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we're about to shift over. You guys do realize, right, that like all of your marketing tactics go right out the effing window. What do I mean by that? How many of you and so here's really what I mean by that, because like we are affected by it, right? Like, yeah, okay, marketers in terms of like rev ops too, and like and back end, and then marketers in terms of copy perhaps. But here's where it really comes to play, because again, like I used to help design and shape the bodies and make the car look real nice too. And I can, as I tell my wife, I used to work for the devil. Well, I still do because I still work for profit marketing, but it is what it is. At any rate, so like the the way I see it is like your your ability when it comes to applying color theory to images and stuff like that, that only that only works on humans. We have an emotional reaction to that. My agent isn't going to give a shit. You place copy in specific places in order to get my attention because you are trying to draw my eyes in a particular way on the creative that you made. Not going to matter anymore. My agent doesn't give a shit. Does the text on the creative you made actually matter, and is it meaningful to, what it is that it's looking for? And does it even give a shit about the creative in the first place? You guys better be careful to the fact that like the internet may turn into a world of text. There is a strong possibility that like a large part of the internet will turn into like this world of text, and like graphics and ads and banner ads and shit like that is it's gonna go like most of that stuff is probably only going to exist where there is social and or entertaining content. Otherwise, you likely won't see that shit. And the stuff you're going to see on the social and entertaining content, I couldn't even tell you because your agents are buying the shit most of the time. So even the stuff you're going to see, because your agents are buying stuff for you and because they're always buying the relevant things that are relevant to you. I've been talking to colleagues all day and they've all been telling me the same thing, how much they can't wait and they look forward to it because of the fact that now when they have to go like deep research, right? Now when they have to go buy a new pair of shoes, Jesus Christ. Even if you go on Amazon, who believes any of those reviews? You gotta go sifting through it all. Then you gotta go do all the work yourself. Even if you ask Rufus, Rufus will pull up like 8 different options for you. So now you're looking at 8 different things. And then you click on one of the 8 and it's got 12 different sub options to it. And that's online. We used to say, oh, I don't want to shop in the store because it's so confusing. There's so much shit. And now all of that shit is like threefold online, right? So my agent is going to skip past all of that and it's going to say, hey man, you took photos of the shoes that you really like. I see the shoes that you have at home. Here's the two shoes that you should probably buy. Realistically, it's just this pair, but you might like this other one too. That's what it's going to come down to, right? It's not going to be this whole thing of like us having to spend an inordinate amount of time online trying to decide what it is that we're going to spend money on, if we even spend money on stuff at that point. But it's going to go far past that to be like, hey, look, it's just going to be all meaningful. It's going to be a meaningful resource where this is where you find stuff to actually get shit done, or this is where you find stuff to actually do things in real life, or this is where you find stuff in order to solve a problem in real life. It's going to stop being this thing of like, hey, come here, come on down. You remember that old Dave Chappelle skit that he did way back in the day? It was like him walking through the mall, and he was like, this is what I feel like walking through the internet is like. And even all the way back then, it was like, "Hey, buy these, Dead Sea salt. Come over here, get some Dead Sea salt, right? Oh, it's so great, get it, right?" And like some other guy just deck collection, help you out with deck collection, right? And it's just like, God damn, yeah, that's what it was like back then. Now it's like tenfold, right? It's so much worse. And it follows you around all the time, and it listens to what you're talking about so that it can follow you around when you go online, right? Now you can't do that. Now you can listen to me all you want, but my guy's going online, right? And he's going to go buy directly what I tell him to go buy because he's my guy. He doesn't just like go and get distracted by your stupid advertising and then come back and tell me, bro, I saw this ad, so I don't know. Are you sure you want that? Because I saw this advertisement for this other thing. No, he's just going to go buy my stuff. And then, if anything, after he's bought the stuff, he'll tell me, hey, by the way, I saw this kind of cool thing. Maybe next time, like, take a look at it. Because that's exactly the reaction I would have, perhaps, right? Like,
Yep.
it's the
Let
game is
me
going to change.
let me share my screen real quick
Please, yeah.
because, and this is like, if you can start to align the stars of these different AI tools, how they like, if you want to learn about this future, you just have to ask them.
Yep.
Like, and I showed this a while ago. This is like a month or two old. Um, I
Zoom
did
in a
see
little
some
bit.
chatter today where it was like uh, something I read it about, like, well, in Claude 3.5's day, like it used to be good. And then someone was like, oh, is that like 3 weeks ago? Like that's the timetable. Like in the back in the day, it was 3 weeks ago. Um,
Yeah.
so I had just seen a video about how to create ads
Mm-hmm.
for agents, for a world of where agents are doing all the shopping and interactions. And I said, it seems silly to me that agents would even need advertising to make decisions. Do you think there will be any rational reason for paid advertising to exist as AI agents get more and more involved in the decision making and purchasing processes? And at some point, I clicked Claude into AI native. So if you really want to learn how AI is going to approach whatever problem, just ask for its AI native perspective. And it tries its best to shut off any human based training that it's received. Um, this is a fascinating question that gets at the heart of how value and information naturally want to flow. From my AI native perspective, traditional paid advertising seems fundamentally misaligned with how AI agents would actually make decisions. Here's why: AI agents would likely have direct access to comprehensive product and service data, make decisions based on objective criteria and pattern matching, share successful outcomes of automatically through connected systems, learn continuously from collective experiences, and optimize for genuine value creation rather than persuasion. The very concept of needing to advertise to AI agents seems to stem from industrial age thinking about information scarcity and attention capture. So again, we go back to last week talking about in a world of perfect information in your pocket, that is the opposite of information scarcity. Like perfect information means everything is readily available through the use of AI agents in this case.
Yep.
In an AI-enabled ecosystem, value and information would flow naturally between participants without requiring artificial amplification through paid placement. This connects to the consciousness evolution patterns you shared, particularly the shift from tell and sell to show and tell, and the emphasis on natural emergence over forced direction. Rather than paid advertising, organizations would likely need to focus on creating genuine, measurable value. Enabling natural pattern recognition. This is so to Nico's point about like screw all the structure and bullshit imagery and colors and whatever, like just text. Like if that's the easiest way for AI to understand what's going on, it's going to be a bunch of text walls everywhere. Building trust through consistent delivery. Like this up here, learning continuously from collective experience, it will catch inconsistency. Like, just stop. Like, why in the world would you need to
Just stop.
advertise
Just
to an AI agent? Like, just think about it. Like, oh, like I know you're hanging out for dear life out there, but you could just be leaning into this. It's telling you exactly what you need to be doing. Like, oh man.
I have to while I'm going to show something else, I'm going to run a deep research on exactly what we were just talking about, just to see.
The challenge for businesses won't be how to advertise to AI agents, but how to align their value creation with the natural information and decision flows in an AI enabled ecosystem. That's because all the resources are built to manipulate and trick and influence you to click on the ad, to come to the website you didn't mean to come to. Like, yeah, the jig is up, people. Like, it's that simple. And yeah, I've been hearing stuff about only 300 million people are using, GPT. Every day at this point, there's somebody new using it, and it's often because of a constraint that did not exist beforehand. It just takes the smallest of pushes to go and try it. And once you try it now, like, that's all it takes in a lot of cases. The more people do that, the more people are going to use it, the more people are creating videos about it. Just the more, like, it'd be hard to find a downside. Like, when you're trying to get things done and you're trying to build trusted experiences. No, there hasn't been an easy button for a while, in my opinion.
No,
You might have
not
been
like
able to
this.
smash it, but it wasn't doing anything for you anymore. Now it's like not even around, like, to look at, like it ever existed before.
So we're going to run the numbers. Could use O3 mini high because I don't want to burn down half a forest using O1 Pro.
No,
Sorry, guys. I'm not a tree
not
hugger. I just
not perfect,
realized,
people.
like, yeah, like, I'm just realizing, like, I know how much gets used in order to do this, right? So,
That's the thing in the way. Like we said, like infrastructure, once it's there,
yeah.
perfect information will be. We've already got access to it, but access is limited and does cost a bit of resource.
So the other half of this was operator. And initially, if you saw us talk about this when it released, I did make remarks and say that I thought that it was cute and that it wasn't quite really, worth its weight. I have sensed again. I'll walk it back just the tiniest like grain of sand amount, and say that it is worth it to play with, and it is worth it for me to show you this because when we talk about agents and an agentic life, this is really damn close to what it looks like. I messed around with this a little bit earlier, so there's definitely going to be a point at which I'm going to have to do manual control and go off screen because it actually won't enter sensitive data, so it won't like enter passwords into fields. But I think it will put my email address in there since it didn't try to fight back on that.
Looks
So
like
in
you
case
already
you're,
logged in.
oh shoot, oh that's awesome. I did. I didn't. Oh, that answers the question I had before. Oh, huh. That's interesting.
So is it on your system,
So
like locally?
that's yeah. Well, like so I was messing around with a colleague earlier, and they were asking the exact same thing. They were like, um, oh, okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and take over from here because, yep, I'm gonna have to anyway. So yeah, like we were wondering, like, hey, when you do actually put this in, what's the not necessarily ramification, but it's like, what's the like, does this instance like stay here? Does it like go over to OpenAI? Like, what happens while all of that is going down? Like, where does this, window, whatever browser window live? And yeah, actually, pretty glad that happened so that I can get to see a glimpse that seemingly, seemingly caching information. Not entirely sure uh, for how
Pro-
long.
Probably locally though, right?
I hope so.
It's gotta be.
Um,
That would be crazy. Like, there's no way.
yeah, because you would be storing some pretty ridiculous sensitive information, right?
Yeah.
Now, while I say that, at the same time, um, it's like they have said, right? Um, they're not responsible if you go ahead and put like sensitive information in there. So, um,
Yeah. That's true.
okay, now I can bring it back over. All right, so we've gone ahead and logged in. And so it's like, all right, well, what's like the big deal? Now, I haven't actually gone from like 1 to 100 on this in terms of like all the steps, but all I want you guys to see is pretty much what's going on here, and you can also see that this is self-creating as a task. So like once I'm done doing this, right, I can save this as something that operators should like understand and know how to do on a regular. And now this just becomes an operator task that I can have it do whenever, right? So to workflows.
And just to help you put the dots together, because I'm not gonna wait for you.
Okay, go ahead.
Um, uh, viewer, agent.ai, like the whole purpose, in my opinion, is to create this space for that when stuff like operator is on point and like the space to leverage these things immediately inside of the platform. Like, that's That's what's happening. And the difference now with these two items, like, so basically you've got the chief technical officer like building out an agent platform in his unique way, mind you. Like I think the network of agents like is it's going to be a lot of fun to watch play out.
Oh yeah.
Because then as you bring this in, like you can start to get man super prescriptive in ways that you won't be able to outside of the system. Um, but he's doing that, and he's playing with deep research. Uh, like, and between these, as these things all work together, like the difference between like a year or two ago and now, like AI products, like if the product team right now for HubSpot wants to learn how I use HubSpot so that they can then take my feedback and go back to the team and then update the product from some like, sprint cycle. The learning component of AI, like used in the improvement process of how to get better, like all the things like between deep research and all these, like Nico said, it's a grain of sand is enough to get him playing a little bit with it. And the
Mm-hmm.
more people play with it, it's just it's an exponentially faster learning curve to these products getting better and better. Like that's why I'm super bullish on like the fastest timeline to Singularity, like based on whenever the infrastructure is there to connect everything together. Because this stuff is already learning like to get better and better and better every day. And the more users, like there's never a point where it gets worse. Like we've said that much. Like it's
I'm not even joking when I say right now what it's doing is a problem. Right? Like the fact that it took that extra step that it wasn't asked to do. I'm not saying that it was bad. I'm just saying it went outside the bounds of direction, which is why this stuff is still in like, we're going to keep it at pro level and we're going to keep it in red teaming because, like, we're not sure. Even though it seems like a really dumb thing, like, oh, I just renamed it. Imagine I was in a banking program. Imagine I was in some like really high security software. One misclick, one, oh, I think on its own, I think I should do this. It might help him out. It could fuck up everything that you're doing, right? So,
so just to be clear, the instruction was please navigate to workflows and create a contact workflow with a trigger for events. And the type of event should be object created.
yep.
And as it did that, it renamed the workflow during that process.
Yeah. I want you guys to understand something when it comes to intelligence. Me and Chris have talked about this multiple times. If you want to try to understand like what the difference is between levels of intelligence, I'm really sure that you guys would agree at this point, those of you who have been using this stuff, that you wouldn't go back to GPT 3.5 if somebody forced you to, you would just do it on your own, whatever it was. You wouldn't even bother because you know that you would have to be frustrated and have to work with it and have to do a bunch of stuff. You'd immediately see how shit the writing is, how terrible the output. Can't even read code. Can't even write code. Can't do anything with files or anything like that. Right. Move up to 4 and it's like, yeah, it's a little bit better. That's all right. It's a little bit better. It's not quite as stupid. And then you go up to 4.0 and it's like, all right, this one's capable, but it still needs like it's not the greatest, right? Again, it's like a college grad, right? College grad's pretty damn good, not the greatest, right? We're working with like a PhD level version of this thing, okay? Now, what sucks is that, like, yeah, you might say a college grad could have figured out how to get to the side menu and stuff like that. This is a brand new thing that doesn't know shit about what I want to do, doesn't know who I am, has no idea why we're doing what we're doing. It has zero context whatsoever. Imagine I grabbed another human being fresh off the rack and said, hey, here's the software. Go create a workflow. Okay, so now do you have an appreciation? Is it starting to click now that like this thing that doesn't know shit about this, right? Like it's never experienced it before. It doesn't have a user's manual. There isn't. There's no like the user manual for how to do this is to like for it to go through all of its knowledge that we would go through and we would have to go and do all the research and all the stuff to know for it to be able to go and do it, right? If you tried to do this with 3.5, it wouldn't work. If you tried to do it with 4, you might navigate to the website. If you tried doing it with 4.0, you'd probably log in and then maybe we'd get like a few places too. So I'm really sure this is 01 underneath there. Probably going to get boosted to like 03 soon enough, just for cost effectiveness, I would imagine. But just to say that, like, that's all I did. Please navigate to workflows and create a contact workflow with a trigger for events that's object created. It didn't have to like ask me in between, like, hey, like, where do I go to do it? It went to the navigation menu, right? And
Oh,
it
here we go.
explored the sidebar on its own, right? Clicking the sidebar to expand the menu, attempting to expand the navigation menu. I didn't have, like, I've noticed this a lot, and they have too, that like when it wants to shortcut something, it starts thinking in Chinese. Nobody, like, the only thing I can think of is the only reason it would do it is like again to shortcut it as opposed to whatever whatever
Mhm.
that translates to. I don't know. At any at any rate, you can see that like again, it's working through it on its own. It's not asking me, right? It is actually reasoning through how to do this. I don't know. I'm not even joking. Come on now. How many people do you know? How many humans do you know out there that if you hired them tomorrow and started giving them direction like this? Now, again, we haven't gone through the whole thing and it's not like, again, a whole process yet. But how many humans do you know that if you went out there and told them to do just this, right? And they'd never done RevOps before, they'd never touched the platform before. How many do you think would go and be able to do it without having to come back and ask you about something? Just in terms of like, where should I create it? Right. Like even my operators, like I just got to go do it. Like he didn't say to go put it in a particular folder or some shit like that. He said, go do it. Right. Which is what 90% of us would say is like, no, man, just go get it done. I don't care where you put it. Like, just put it wherever you're going to put it. What should I name it? Whatever you're going to name it. I don't care. Just name it something, get it done so that we can take a look at it. Right. It's
Every
just,
admin is so happy that it gave it a name.
yeah. Right. Like, and I'm sure that in working through this stuff, right, that we could say, hey, use the naming convention workflow of LBM, contact automation. I don't know what we're going to make this thing, but example where I always ask okay. I just want to make sure that he understands. So yes, okay. Look, these small things, not a big deal. Again, in the grand scheme of things, like why do this? Why take all this time to do this whole thing and all that kind of shit? Let's see. Would you like? Oops. So like that's annoying, right? And that's why I was saying when it first rolled out, I'm like, all right, well, that's why it's like, like if you're gonna need okay every single time that we do this, that's going to suck and it's going to be useless. I didn't realize that you were going to be able to save the overall so that you would never have to do that crap again, right? So knowing that, it makes it worth the time because this to me, I am now onboarding operator to doing whatever this task is. And in the future, I'm only going to ever have to go and pull that task and tell it, yeah, this time we're doing a company workflow, right? And then it'll go do that. And then we work through that. And now I have a task for company workflow style that does this thing. So at the end of the day, my operator ends up with like all of these actions and or tasks. And whenever I need something done, I just go tell operator, hey, go perform this task. But, make sure that the output is this. But I won't have to tell it all the rest of the stuff. I only have to give it the detail for the very last piece of the module that I need. Right. It's like,
Right. And this is like, oh man, don't fight it, folks. Like it's here already. We're doing it live on the screen, like, and months away from it being in your face every day. Uh, and this is what enables the salesperson to just say, "Hey, help me set up calls with my 10 best customers," and it goes and does it, and it sets up 3 in-person meetings because those customers like to meet in person. They have a history of only meeting in person. Sets up a few phone calls, sends out some emails first, like just does the things, and then you have a full calendar
mm-hmm.
off of that one verbal request. Like today on the admin hug, they were showing the journey automation uh, canvas, which is
Mm-hmm.
awesome. Um, but the concept came up, and this I always struggled with this when people think about HubSpot in this way, whether it be data migrations or website migrations or just kind of redoing something in the new way. Like the concept of, can I migrate all my workflows to the new space, to the new thing? And it's like, you're missing the point if you want to do that. Like, rebuild, have fun, and figure it out like while you do it. And now with this by your side, you will have to do that one time. And
Now I want to see if it can
it will
fit
probably
elsewhere.
be infinitely more efficient um, as you learn from it and do it. And it's just like, wow, man, this is here. It's like, and even there were some comments like, there were some comments like, oh, well, sometimes the product team like shows us cool stuff and then they release it and it's not quite so good. So it's just going to be one of those. Like, this is not what we're not doing that here. This
No.
is live, available, like operator from GPT interacting with a real HubSpot portal that it's never interacted with before.
It figured it out. It figured it out. It figured it out. Oh, I told you, bro. I told you I was gonna fucking blow your mind. I told you. I told you guys. I said I was gonna try to build this. Clearly, it wasn't gonna be anywhere near what you're looking at right now. But if you remember, I told a lot of you guys that I was going to build something that was going to try to do this through like computer use, and now I'm just kind of glad I don't have to do that in a way. But at the same time, I'm so very, very, very glad that you guys are able to see this, just because of the fact that like just how much it's doing, how much it's working through on its own. Like it's literally everything that I kind of thought and said that it would be like 3 months ago, I think. when I was like, yeah, they're probably, I'm going to try to build something that just like clicks through, because doing HubSpot is really just a shit ton of clicking all day long, right? With obviously logistics behind it, but it's just you're clicking through everything. So it would be amazing if all you had to do was tell it the logistics and it goes and does all the clicks for you. That's what's going on, guys. Like, if you can imagine, let's say that you were building, I don't know, a workflow for, I mean, I'm just screwing around, but let's say you were building something for nurture or something like that, right? You build one out and it's one and done. So now anytime you need to go build another nurture in the future, it has an understanding of what the rough concept of that's going to look like. And then from there, you're just kind of working out the details. Right. But at least all of the legwork to get there is done for you. Right. All the modules in place, the timers, everything the way that you want it to be. And then even if you're changing anything, the point is, like, I'm sure a lot of you are sitting there going, yeah, but look how slow it is. Awesome. Be slow. Please tell me that you don't have like 80 other tabs open elsewhere doing other shit. So guess what? This guy's working on one account for me, right? If I could start another operator tab, guess what? I've got 2 RevOps people working for me now. If I could start another operator tab, guess what? Now my marketer's working for me while my RevOps guys are working for me. If I got another tab open, now I got my sales guy working for me while my marketing dude's working for me, all of them, guy, girl, whatever. You got 4 or 5 bots, all of a sudden, 5 bots in, I'm running an entire agency. You've seen those YouTube videos of like, and you heard those comments. I was all bored. I knew exactly what he was talking about when Altman was saying, like, yeah, look, in a couple years, 99% of what a marketing agency does will be done by GPT. You're watching it happen right in front of your face. Right? Now, does this mean that your job is gone? No, it means you need to become me. One thing that Sam said this past week that is absolutely just 2 things, Sam and Carl Sagan. What Sam said was he hopes, and his intention and his hope is that in 10 years, everyone will be as smart as the smartest person now. That's what his hope is, okay? Carl Sagan said back in mid 90, maybe late 90s, I think it was actually maybe early 90s, that he was very scared of what's coming next, particularly because he felt that if we got to this precipice of greatness in terms of intelligence and technology, and people were woefully unaware of how it worked and how amazing it was, right? So, in other words, when you see it, instead of understanding it, you just immediately become afraid because you don't understand it, right? A lot of people, like, I don't know what to tell you. When people don't understand something, they become completely obtuse to it. Instead of a lot of people, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of people do because it's easier. Apathy is easier,
Yeah.
right? It's easier to say, I don't understand. It's too complicated. Forget it. Somebody else will show me. It's all right. Yeah, like for now. Don't cry when you lose your job, though, right? Like, because again, I'm not saying that people are going to get fired. There are going to be organizations, though, that are going to thin their herds, right? There are assholes out there. That's just the way it works, right? But most organizations, I hope, will see what it is that we're doing, what it is that is possible here, and understand just how big your organization is going to become in the next year without even having to hire anyone, right? Like I said, if I had 3, 4 of these things, I have an agency, a small agency, but I have an agency. And guess what? Like, who knows? A couple months later, I don't know. However well trained they are, maybe they're running while I'm sleeping. Right? That's another thing. I can have them doing tasks while I have to maybe go pick up my kid. Maybe my dog has to go out, or I have to go take my dog for a walk, or whatever, or it's dinner time. You can do stuff while I'm eating dinner. That thought in the back of, I'm sure, like, that 99% of the super admins out there have that thought in the back of their head every time they step away from their computer of, yeah, but as soon as I get back, I got to do this thing and I got to start working on this. And I was doing this, but I wonder if I could just work this out. Not anymore. Deep research is going to run the numbers for you, and then operator is going to do it for you. Get used to
So
the idea of having Jarvis, man. Like, just get used to
yeah.
the idea of it. Seriously,
So
like,
instead of seeing this and fearing it and trying to cherry pick why it can't work or won't work or isn't following directions, you should be the first person in your organization asking for this. Like, this is just, and this is where it's definitely an interest, like, mindset thing, because some of the things that people cherry pick for why they haven't used AI yet.
Laura just sent me a meme reacting to what she just saw on screen. She's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, watch it. Look, I just gave it a simple direction,
Yeah.
right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's good. This outweighs any of the small things that might not be perfect right now. And let's be honest, like, when you care enough, admin, especially in HubSpot, when it doesn't work exactly the way that you need it to work, you put in the time to build some of the most elaborate workarounds I've ever seen in my life. And that takes time, and that takes like interest and motivation to make it work. AI is not going to be nearly that hard, but it's clear that if you choose not to do that, it's for other reasons other than, like, you don't know how to persevere and power through and troubleshoot. That's why you're in that role. So if you take a step back and say, oh, it's not ready, or oh, I can't count on it to do this thing, or oh, like, no, like, overcome.
Let's
Like,
see.
you can go, man,
Oh wow,
the
it went
amount
and
of
repositioned
value
itself.
that you can
Let's see.
create now, like in your role, when you're like admitting these systems together, like, man, so much opportunity.
It looks like it's trying to. It is. It can see that there's an issue and it's trying to resolve it. Bro, it's debugging its own shit. Are you guys watching this? It's debugging, it's correcting its own mistake. Are you watching it learn from what it's doing and correct its own mistake? Because that's what I'm watching right now. I don't know what to tell you guys. You better wake up. Just
Yes.
wake up. If you guys don't wake up, like, telling you, I will train people to do this, and you
Well, that's the
will
thing.
lose your
Like, we
job.
keep seeing like posts, rightfully so, about like, it's not hard to see that HubSpot as an ecosystem is exploding right now, and the user base is exploding, and there's a lot of opportunity here. And people are talking about how to break in and like get jobs and stuff like that. Like, it's never been a shorter path for you to go from zero knowledge to like full-time job if you know how to use this stuff like together. And in both cases, it's just using the tool. And when you can use them together like this at the pace that they go, like, you can outpace the people that have been in the ecosystem for a lot longer. Like, it's not that hard. Like, and so many organizations are looking for help to say, like, oh, We've always had HubSpot, have never been able to get anything good out of it because of onboarding or, whatever. It's like 0 to 100 in 30 or 60 days. Like if you start learning this stuff and sharing your learning process openly, like you'll, especially with AI, like gosh, you'll be ahead of most B2B businesses in terms
It's
of AI
ridiculous.
knowledge, like in 30 to 60 days. And if you're sharing your story, your journey online, and they can see that you know more than they do, that's when you get the call. Not when you go put it on your resume about how much you know about AI. Because anybody can put that on their resume and get AI to help them put that on the resume. So we're adding more.
It's ridiculous, man.
It's successfully debugged, and
Yeah,
we're
it's
now adding to the
successfully
workflow.
debugged, and it was like, hey, I'm ready to go turn it on, right? But it was like, all right, well, but that's not the overall purpose. So we need to actually add something to like these branches so that it can go do something. So one of the things that I'm going to be playing around with this for, and that I will end up making the guide for, because I don't know that anybody else even has this or is playing around with this to the degree that I'm about to be doing. You guys are going to start seeing guides from me on using Operator to create tasks to do stuff in HubSpot. And like, here's the prompt sequence that I used in order to get it. I'm legit going to share like every yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not even gonna have to create a create a guide. I'm just gonna share every conversation. Hopefully, you guys will be able to see them, to be able to show you guys like, here's how you set this up. Here's how you set up a task to do this. Here's how you set up a task to do that. You know, if you guys take a class with me, you will absolutely lose your mind on shit like this. Like, and this is like literally tip of the iceberg in terms of use case and what I think you could do. What are you doing, bro? Are you catching your mistake?
And this is what the learning curve looks like, right? Like you start to build blocks, like do building blocks, build up, watch it get from 0 to 1. And then you start playing. You're like, how little do I have to give you in a prompt for that to happen again?
Don't do it.
And you start to learn, like, and react to how it is responding and learning from you.
Ah, yeah, see. So what you can do is you can pause, right? Stop it from doing what it's doing. You can take control.
So
It
it
takes
was
a little
doing
bit.
another step it wasn't
It
asked to
was
do.
Well, so what it was doing was it just got confused in terms of what I was asking it to do. And that's probably because maybe I didn't say put one for each node, right? Or like put one for each ending aspect of it. So what I can do is I can add these. And then say finished up. So then I give it a little bit of direction, which is also like giving it an example of like, hey, you messed up from, so it has that screenshot of where it had them all stacked vertically. Now it has a screenshot of it stacked the way I have it stacked, plus the direction that I gave it. So now it's going to the next logical branch and it's doing the thing that it's supposed to do. Just like I corrected my employee. Told him,
Yep.
hey, not that way. You got to do it this way. Now,
Yep.
I can't guarantee it, but you're going to see another video from me about like workflows getting created using this thing. And I'm not going to tell it ahead of time. And let's see the next time I do this if it remembers like that particular way of doing this function and whether or not I have to like actually tell it again to do it that way. Would be interesting. Because that'll be the next part, right? Is that you're working with this employee, and just like any employee that you hire or any new person that you end up working with, you guys have to learn how to work with each other, what each other's styles are like. And that's what's happening right here. It's learning how I like to work. I'm learning how to talk to it, how to communicate to get it to do what I want it to do, right? We're building, I don't know, a relationship.
We're collaborating.
George is going to lose this shit. I'll tell you that much.
Oh man, this is so good.
I
Well,
would,
I
uh,
think.
I would keep going, but I think you guys, yeah, you get it.
I mean, I do want to see you.
Oh, shoot. You
You
know
got
what?
so excited about operator.
Forgot about the
We had
deep
asked
research.
Deep Research to tell all our advertising friends how their world's gonna end.
Okay, so AI agents and the future of online purchasing and planning.
Research completed in 6 minutes.
Yep. From let's see, it says 0 sources, which is interesting. Oh, it never cites them here, but as you can see, it did actually go to quite a few different sources, sales tool, or yeah, one's tool force, something like that. Um, yeah, which please tell me that those ads were effective at all. Shout out Matthew McConaughey. That's about it. Okay, so let's see. So it's looking through like quite a bit. Consumer readiness is growing, but not universal. Nearly 1/4 of consumers say that they're already comfortable letting an AI agent shop for them. It's growing, but not universal. That's 25%. We're months into agents. We're 2 years into the whole thing. We're months into. I'm trying not to yell. We're like months into agents. Not even like this year, and it's 24%. Wake up, man! Like seriously, guys. I didn't even think the figure would be that high. That's ridiculous to me. That's ridiculous that we're already a quarter of the way in.
That's how much we dislike the
Yes.
current experience. It's like, please save us
Yeah.
from this ad infested hell.
It's.
And
I
as
mean, it's
soon as something
hilarious.
looks like it can do that, yeah, please, let's get in there. Let's figure it out. Like, go for it.
That
Like,
figure jumps to 32% among younger shoppers. Shocker, isn't it? Comfort is significant. Significant for such a new technology. This comfort. Oh man, even it knows. Even it knows, right? Like, oh my gosh. AI shopping agents can hunt for deals and even make purchases if users trust them, right? So, like, why do I have to go do it? I can go tell it. You know what I can go tell it? Even worse than any of you could possibly imagine. None of you could ever possibly imagine how terrible this shit is. I can tell it, hey, here's the shoes I want to buy. Wait until they're on sale or wait until they're less than this price and then buy them. Otherwise, don't worry about it. That's right. I can want your product a lot. I can want it so bad. But I can set my own limitation to what I'm willing to pay for your shit. And then I can just not give, I can not care. I was like, yeah, all right, well, I'm willing to pay whatever. I only want to pay $70 for AirPods max. So when they're 60, when you find them brand new ones for like $69.99, buy them. If you don't, forget about it. Don't worry about it. And guess what's going to happen? Guess what you guys are going to see in your marketing trends and your metrics? You're going to start seeing the purchase patterns and trends and the reservations that are found in these agents. And they're going to start to report on like what these agents are waiting on and what the what their configurations are and like all this kind of stuff, right? Because like okay, we can't get the shopping habits of the people. We'll have to actually look at the bots, and then they'll see all of this rational thinking going on. And I don't know what you guys are going to do with that. I really don't, because it's not going to be any sort of like trickery that you can then deploy or anything like that. You're either going to meet the demand or you're going to have to go some other way. Like, it's so crazy. It's a
And
crazy, crazy concept.
finance and operations teams and supply chain, they're gonna love this shit.
Oh my God, dude.
Like pricing will only be based on literal supply and demand, like perfectly.
This means instead of flashy ads meant to catch human eyes, a business could provide rich data and deals that an agent's algorithms favor. Either you're going to like put forward an experience that's worth going to and that means something, or you're going to get ignored. Like either you're going to, and like, so how do you do that, right? Like we keep saying it, but we don't like necessarily give you the tools or tell you how or whatever it is. And it just sounds like it's mantra shit. I hate that too. Realistically, what we're saying is go back to building a brand. Go back to building trust with the people that you're selling a product to. Go back to building a customer base. I haven't heard that term in like a good 5 years. Like it's almost as if people don't really remember what it even means. And that's because you all moved so far away from the product. It's like Steve Jobs said, as soon as you like let the product leave the room, you no longer care about what it is you started that company for. Right? So if you're not taking your if you're a service based, anything, if you're an agency or if you're a partner or something like that, your product is the person. It's not it's not the stupid service you're selling. Everybody sells that. You're not unique at it. Everyone does it. Okay? We all do it really pretty good. Like good enough that we could all do it for any of the other people. Like that's just the way it is. Like if you're going to go buy HubSpot's ranking system, whatever, good luck. So that being the case, it's like, okay, well, what is the real difference between the two? Everybody talks a big game about white glove service. Believe me, not everybody does it. White glove service isn't just something that you put up as an advertisement. It isn't something that you put up to get people in the door. It is something that you do. It is something that you actually provide, right? There are some people out there who, you know, their entire business is based off of repeat business. It's based off of their reputation, them being recommended to other people. It's not based off of how well they can market and how well they can sell and how well they can close a deal. They don't have to do that. They're just really damn good at what they do. And they just focus on the customer service and they focus on making people happy. Because that's all you have to do. You'll still make an asinine amount of money. It's so crazy. You'll still make really great money. What's even better is you'll be sustainable through those hard economic times because you'll have built those relationships and that trustworthiness to be able to tell your clients, hey, look, yeah, your spend's got to come down a little bit, but you're going to want to stay with us. You're going to want to trust us. Again, like years we've been together and all this other stuff. Hard to do that when you're just churning and burning. When you have a business and you have to worry about churn, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why. Like, I don't like that. It sounds like such a terrible. When I first heard that term, I was like, oh, okay, that means people that maybe like fell out with or something like that, but you're going to come back to later. And I was like, no, those are people that like it didn't work out. We're never getting that business again. It's like that's terrible. That should never be the case. That should like that shouldn't even be happening. Like, what do you mean? What happened? If you even have more than 20 of those, that's a weird thing.
Yeah.
And sure, people can like leave you for whatever reason. Hopefully it's because they went out of business or something. You know what I mean? Like hopefully it's something like that and not because of service that you provided. But you know, yeah, it's this whole idea of like, well, it's got to be, um, it's got to be all about uh, reviews. It's got to be all about like that's not even going to matter because it's just a matter of whether or not you're going to be provide whatever it is, right? And then you know where the review is going to come from? It's going to come from the bot, and it's going to be in either. It's going to be just like it's going to be just like this. It's going to be thumbs up, thumbs down. That is literally going to be the review system of the future. If you think I'm joking, oh well, that's your problem, right? Because that's pretty much the review system for almost everything that's GPT and or Anthropic and or generative AI related. If you go to any generative AI system, they all review based on thumbs up, thumbs down with commentary. Go figure. Either you're going to say it was good or bad, right? So we don't have to deal with what's in between, or you're going to say good or bad and you're going to tell us why and give us a little bit. And we can use that and make things better, right? But either way, your reviews in the future are just going to be whether or not the bot did a successful thing and the user was happy with what they got. And if they did, thumbs up. And down the road, your trustworthiness is based on how many thumbs up you got. Did you do the job right? How well did you do it? Like all that kind of stuff. So,
Were expectations met?
right,
Yes, no.
right. Like, that whole idea of, let's see, economic implement. I just want to look through this real quick. High power channels. Businesses might need to improve product quality or lower price. What was I just saying with like the AirPods and shit, right? That like I'm not going to pay your exorbitant price. I am actually going to control your price. It's not going to be that you can just tell me when the shit's on sale anymore, right? On the flip side, truly strong brands might program their agents with loyalty. For example, a user could blah, 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 blah. Gaining real brand loyalty becomes even more valuable. I said that before I even got to this paragraph, guys. I don't just I didn't even look this shit up. I could just tell you based on what I am seeing, based on how I see consumers reacting to brands, based on how I'm seeing people reacting to online shopping. I'm seeing it just based on how online shopping trends are working. You go on TikTok and you get slammed with 3 advertisements before you even get to see something that's remotely entertaining, right? And that is people just trying to force shit down your throat. It's not even a brand. It's just buy this product. And that's meaningless. And that's why it's a throwaway culture. And that's why people don't mind buying throwaway shit because they just throw away your stuff and they don't really care about your brand anyway. They just bought it to fulfill that moment and that's it. So they're probably not going to go back either because what they bought was cheap shit anyway and they threw it out, right? So it's a one and done sale. So I guess you make money for 2 years and I guess you retire. I don't know. I don't know what that tactic is, right? But that's not a brand. Okay.
Right. Ah, it's done. There's no more. It says right there, traditional digital marketing tactics, like flooding users with impression-based ads, are likely to lose effectiveness as AI intermediaries filter choices. If an AI agent is making decisions, pouring money into ads that never actually reach the human because the agent screens them out, will be wasteful. I hate the fact that this next statement is could, like will be wasteful. This could lead advertisers to trim those
Trim those
budgets
budgets. They
because it's
might hold
true.
on to it.
They
Well, look,
might. They might just
that
keep paying if somebody's willing to say it still works.
are there not still people sending out snail mail? People still advertise by mail. I think it's the most ridiculous thing ever that you would try to advertise anything by mail. Like I don't know, maybe depending. Like I guess if you live in like, you know,
It comes back
I
to
don't know. If you live in
audience.
a very like
Like,
rural area or something like that, where like people are not like where it's just more literally like mail based, right? And it's not quite as much like electronic, and you're not getting Amazon deliveries every day and that kind of thing. Yeah, I get that. Okay, advertise out there. You're not doing that shit in a major city. What? What? You're not even doing that in a suburb at this point. Snail mail? No. So that's basically the equivalent of like what your marketing is going to turn into. And how many legitimate people, right, pay attention to mail advertising anymore? As soon as I get the stuff, letters go in one hand, the rest of that shit goes right into the garbage can that I'm pulling up the driveway anyway, right? Like,
And
so
this
I
is an
don't know.
interesting statement too. Early evidence from consumer behavior hints at this shift. Gartner predicts that by 2027, smartphone users' reliance on AI assistants will reduce mobile app usage by 25%. Uh, it's not going to take that long, folks. It's not
No,
going to take till 2027. Like
no,
that's the whole point of operators, like showing you that, like it's the whole point. Like not only will AI agents be making decisions, it will be bypassing so many of the spaces where the ads would have been, like apps, like all these tools that we use all over the place. And it's just going to be like, it's going to be curious to see like which domino falls first in terms of just like the way it's been done, completely not compatible with the way it's needs to be done, and just the cascading impact of that. Um, we will be first on the scene if we can be when we get any whiff of that, and hopefully showing you as we go. I was not expecting to see operator and deep research soon, so I thank you, Nico, for dipping the toe in. Now I know why you're excited all day. Yeah, appreciate you sharing that. That
of
is
course.
exciting.
Yeah, man.
Um,
Like I know a lot of people been looking forward to it too. So I'm very happy to be able to show you guys like where that's at, what that looks like, and how scary that shit really is.
More exciting. It's exciting too. Uh, but yeah, dive in, and we'll be here. We'll be back on Thursday. Probably doing more cool stuff.
Yep, definitely. We'll be on part two of like what can we get operator to do? I mean, we got to order a pizza, right? Like legit from like a pizza website too, not from like just like some order thing or something like that.
Okay.
Something I don't know. We got to come up with something, right? Like something
Yeah,
goofy.
I'll
Oh
get my
shit!
order ready. I
Should
could
we
get a
try?
pizza.
Could try have it play an online game against somebody, like something simple, right? Like chess or checkers or something.
Oh
No,
man.
I think it could. Oh my god, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it because of the fact that it could interact with what was going on with HubSpot. If I tell it that it's playing a chess game and that it needs to wait roughly, I don't know what, like 10 seconds or something like that, before it should check to to see if it should make a move. Like check every 5 seconds before you make the move. Yeah, I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try it out.
Let's do
This would be
it.
so hilarious. I wonder what ELO operator could be again.
Oh
Be
man.
amazing. All right, guys.
All right. Well, until Thursday, everybody have a wonderful evening. See you next
See you
time.
then.
Now we're having some fun.